See, everything must change. Some ask me, what do you see when you look inside the mirror? I say, same thing when I look at you. I said, you have become a mere image of me. But hey, I made them images too. And then I wonder, why can't I be what I always see what's inside of me? Daydreaming all day long. And then I wonder, why can't we be what we all want to be free? What makes me weak, not strong? I come along. Imagine, oh yeah, imagine, oh yeah, imagine, oh yeah, imagine you dream for real. Like to talk about a good vibration. I talk about using imagination. Oh yeah. Some tell you life is what you make it. Now who say we won't make it? Not time. Oh yeah. And then you hear them lectures from the rich man. Tell me who is the money rich man? Some politician man. I strive to make it every day in spiritually. No, not just a night in some dream. Oh no, the verbal and emotional gifts, yes, that makes you rich. Not just the kind that are green. Imagine, oh yeah, imagine. You should imagine now. Yes, you should imagine you drink for real, yeah, yeah. A dream of life, a dream of peace. Let's do away with that hate and not just American dreams. Oh yeah, I need to talk about a dream of faith, a dream of hope, a dream of a good love. My job walking with us, soaking within.
Random pathway, Chatham County Line.
Another man's reality don't mean our life enough for real. And some think that our life are only in the dream, but not what the sun has done is. I come along, yo. Yes, I say I come along. Yes, I say can come along. I come along. I come along. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we got beer.
Yeah, imagine. Oh yeah, oh yeah. We imagine your dreams for real.
And happy Tuesday. We are live here at the Alpha Center in the Circle City recording studio. and Chatham County Line. And today, TaJ Talk and the Chatham County Line bring to you Focus on Chatham, and we're happy to be here. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, and I feel like I'm in a can of something going wow, 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 wow. And if that's what you guys like to hear, you let me know. Aaron, we love hearing the wow, 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 wow. So we got a lot of things to talk about today. I have some people from the Haw River Assembly come to talk about water. And water is always a very good thing because we all have a need for water. And to recap some things that happened over the weekend, Shakori was a big success. We did some recording here at Circle City Recording. We got some nice footage out of Shakori. That was a great time. On October 19th, there'll be a positive gathering downtown where people in downtown come together to shop, to hang out, be together. This is in response to the Confederate flag folks and just to have a time of community downtown in Pittsburgh on October 19th. And on October 16th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., Chatham County Agricultural and Conference Center presents How Safe is Pittsburgh's Water? And that's something we're going to talk about today. And when we talk about water, that's a very uniting aspect. Today, that takes me right into my transition about water. Today, I have two local people who use water every day to make what they make. And two of my favorite things in the world that they're bringing here, locally made chocolate and locally made beer. So ladies and gentlemen, won't you welcome to the room, I can say the room, Focus on Chatham, Brother Jody. We're going to Mr. Russell. How are you, Brandon Russell?
I'm fantastic.
Good, good, good. And Miss Kirby. Kirby, I don't know your last name.
Barnes.
Kirby Barnes, very nice to have you on. And Jody, you can put them on camera anytime you want. So here we go. So today we have some locally made beer, some locally made chocolate. Kirby, I'm going to start with you. Tell us who you are, the name of your company, and tell us what you brought today.
I'm Kirby. I am Cumulonimbus Chocolates.
I love the name.
Me too. And I have brought today 3 of the flavors that I've been working on for our upcoming beer pairing at 580. I have a milk chocolate bonbon that is filled with persimmon paste that is flavored with spiced honey liquor that's made over in Durham. I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, but
bring it on.
Krupnikas?
Krupnikas.
Yeah.
All right. Like
something
that,
along that line.
I used to do a dance called the Krupnikas. I'm going to do it later on, though. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. I also have a Mexican spiced chocolate nougat with pepitas, papaya, and cocoa nibs.
Am I correct to say pepitas are pumpkin seeds?
Yeah. Yes. And I also have some ruby chocolate bonbons with pomegranate and elderflower liqueur.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like 35 ingredients in one chocolate?
No, not that many.
That's all right. I like that many.
It's a good way. It's a good introduction to the ruby chocolate.
Very nice. Now, where are you from, and how did you learn to make such beautiful chocolates?
I'm from Hillsboro.
Hillsboro.
You know, right up the road.
Oh, yeah, we know Hillsboro.
Yes.
I say Hillsboro. I live in Pittsburgh.
I'm not going to get on about the spelling of Hillsborough Street here. That is a little point of contention to me.
You know what my point of contention is with Hillsboro? Is that when you get to Carborough,
Yes.
you're like, oh, Hillsboro should be 5 minutes away.
No.
It never is 5 minutes
No.
away. I keep expecting, oh, I'm in Carborough. I just passed through Carborough. Hillsboro should be Pittsburgh, Carborough, Hillsboro. It's what makes sense.
Yeah.
Within the vacuum.
Right?
That's
And
right.
there's no direct way to get from Pittsburgh to Hillsboro either. You have to kind of go around everything.
So you brought the beer. Brandon, move up to that mic and tell us who you are. Tell us about 580. Tell us about Thirsty Skull. And you brought a T-shirt.
Sure did.
Yay!
As non-wrinkled as possible.
That's nice. You ironed it.
I don't know about that. So me and my father opened up a retail bottle shop probably about 4 years ago in town in the old Piggly Wiggly Plaza. So we were the first retail craft establishment in this space. So probably about a year ago, we opened Thirsty Skull Brewing, which is a kind of a small local craft brewery. We're a real small system. We focus on kind of hyper local, supporting all the local restaurants and bars and all that kind of stuff. It's been awesome support from everybody. We've been in the Sanford area, we've been in Raleigh, we've been doing a lot of local events too down in Siler. So it's been super awesome lately. But
So, what did you bring us today to pair with these
So,
fine chocolates?
we got a new brew from us, Last Judgment. It's a New England IPA, so it's going to be probably hazy, citrusy. It's all Galaxy hops, which you get a lot of melon and that. And then you have Pushing Daisies, which is kind of a fan favorite. It's a mosaic pale ale, so it's going to be very flowery, not so bitter. That one's definitely more softer on the palate.
So, are we going to taste some beer and chocolate?
Let's do it.
All right, great. So, since we're tasting some beer and chocolates, let's. I placed in front of you both a cup
Uh-oh.
and a quarter. Can you put your cup and quarter so the camera can see your cup and quarter? But you got to put it on the table. Is it? Nope, you got to put it on your table. Here, I'm going to get up and show you guys. So, we're going to play a little game. And you win prizes. You guys may not have played this when you were in school, but this is a game. It's an old school game.
Yeah.
I've been practicing.
Right?
All right. So, if you make it, you win a prize out of this bag.
Yay!
All right, so Kirby, go.
No.
Brandon, go.
Let's see if I can do this.
No.
All right, so you both missed. So when you miss,
You don't get any prize.
no, you get something because everyone is you get 2 highlighter pens,
Yay!
and you get some game right there that my kids don't want me.
Fantastic. Can't
All
wait.
right, so let's do our first taste here.
Cool.
Who's pouring?
Yeah. So I guess we'll start off with the Pushing.
And what chocolate are we going to pair this with?
What chocolate are we going to pair this with?
So I would say probably the Ruby.
Okay.
Ruby that.
Ooh, beautiful.
Try to keep this tight within the confines of the backdrop. All right, do I get one?
Sure.
Of course.
Never too early, right?
Does this mic still work?
Probably.
All right.
So have you tried the ruby yet?
I have not.
All right. So you know how black tea and green tea come from the same plant, Camellia sesquana?
Sure.
And it's just picked and processed at a different time. That's basically the ruby chocolate. It's the same cacao. It's just processed differently. It's nice. It's kind of fruity, a little bit acidic, and I thought that would be a wonderful complement to the pomegranate and elderflower.
All right, so let's see. See how I'm sounding coming out of that microphone, JD. All right, so look how beautiful this is. I'm trying to stick my hand in front of it. Look how beautiful this is. Can you see that? Can you get a shot of that?
Zoom in.
It's hard taking good pictures of tiny
Zoom right
things.
back. Joey, grab the camera, Joey.
Yeah.
Do this.
Look at that. The beautiful
The
shot
display.
of the candy. All right, so let's try it.
Sure.
All right.
It's all
Are you guys gonna try the beer?
Really good.
Oh, that is good. I mean, that's a good pairing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really good. So October 25th at the 580, we're going to be setting this off.
Yeah, this is the second time we've done it. We did it for Valentine's Day, so I was thinking it'd be a good time to do it for Halloween. So we'll have 3 chocolates, 3 beers. We'll pair them together. Be a nice little flight board for you to kind of go explore your palate.
Well, speaking of which, time for another round of the game.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
All right, it's a chocolate question.
Okay.
name 3 basic chocolates, or 3 of the main kinds of chocolates that are used. I know there are more than 3, but name 3.
Milk, dark, and white.
Look at that. What does that say right there, Brandon?
Dark milk and white.
Dark milk and white. You win a prize.
Yay!
More highlighters.
I love highlighters.
Let's see what prize you win. You win a peppermint soda.
Ooh.
Oh, TaJ, these gifts are good. All right. Let's see here. Another question. Brandon, this time, I think it's a beer question. Oh, yeah, it is a beer question.
You need a mic.
What is spontaneous fermentation?
That's a good question, right? So that's the process of natural fermentation, where a wild yeast would get into some kind of liquid and do its own thing. So you'll see that with saisons or farmhouse ales, where you have a natural yeast go in and then ferment within.
Read that answer. What is spontaneous fermentation?
This type of fermentation occurs when beer is exposed to wild bacteria and yeast. These beers originate in Belgium, but brewers all over the world have found ways to manipulate this process.
So that means he won.
He won.
He won. Woo!
Not read the answer ahead of time.
All right, you too win a prize.
Lambics.
You get a peppermint soda.
Yay!
All right, let's go on to our next tasting. Who's going to drink all these beers?
Somebody.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, you guys have to drink these beers. That's what the people y'all can't
Not
see.
bad.
It's good beer.
All right, what do we got next?
So I have the Last Judgment, which is going to be definitely more fruit forward. So we have a candy that's a little bit more fruity.
All right. So candy, fruit,
Probably our persimmon and honey. Persimmon is really underrated for autumnal flavors. It's good.
Use that word again. Autumnal.
Autumnal?
That's like autumn, right?
Yes.
Woo-hoo-hoo. I won a prize too. I hope I got myself something good.
You did. You got this video game that I no longer.
Who doesn't like Ace Combat 6?
5 was better.
All right, so now we're here.
Yes.
This is what kind of beer is this again?
So it's a New England IPA.
New England IPA. And what is, okay, so I hear everyone saying, I want a New England or California, I want something juicy or more dry. Break down that for us. What do they mean? I'm hearing all these terms around beer.
So probably about 4 or 5 years ago, stylation on IPAs got real big. So you're starting to see like a West Coast, East Coast, Northeast. Really, it's just the determination of what type of hops and what kind of flavor profile. So West Coast, you typically get a lot of fruit, some bitterness. That's the big one. New England, this seems to be the craze lately. This is more citrus forward, real soft on the palate, not very bitter. You're going to get a lot of like melon, grapefruit, citrus. They're cool.
So let's see here. This is say it one more time.
Persimmon
Persimmon.
with the Krupnikas honey liquor.
For this one, it's a podcast, folks. We're now tasting the chocolate and the beer together. Wow. That's the persimmon? Mm-hmm. Well, that leads me to another question. Blank is the center or meat of the cocoa bean. Roasted or unroasted cocoa beans are cracked mechanically to break off the cocoa bean shells to expose the
Nibs. Yay!
See, I don't just bring good artists, I bring smart people. This I want you to know. These people know what they're doing. I mean, taste the beer, look at the desserts, and taste the candies. I mean, they know what they're doing. All right, Brandon. What is the square root of... No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Can I phone a friend?
Yeah, you can phone a friend. All right, since you did get it the first one, let's see how you do with this one. What is top fermentation?
So that is basically any kind of ale, right? So ales are going to ferment all from the top up. All your yeast settles up top and does all your fermentation there, where lager would typically ferment at the bottom, cooler temperatures.
The yeast that is used in ale production ferments throughout the beer and settles at the top of the liquid. It has a higher tolerance to alcohol and ferments at warmer temperatures when compared to the yeast that's used to make lager. Boom! All right, you both won. So you get two more. You get to leave with some great prizes, guys.
Yay!
Ace Combat 5. A favorite.
You actually get Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator instead, along with a pack of gum.
Yay! Ooh, melon.
That's been good.
That's what
And Brandon, you get these peppers that have been drying on my counter and Lord of the Rings.
Now I can watch something after Ace Combat.
Hey, and you can make beer with those peppers. These are great gifts. Do you know how long I had to search my house? Hey, those are hot.
Yeah,
those are hot. You can make something with those. Those are hot. Do you know how long I had to search for these gifts, guys? To make sure that you had a great time when you came here on Focus on Chatham. See, we don't always have to talk about flags and Confederate things. We can talk about the fun stuff like beer and chocolates, and try not to burp while you're talking. So tell us again, when is the date and what will we be doing and what can we expect?
So, date for our event with 580, Miss Kirby here, is October 25th. Start probably about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Kirby's going to bring some chocolates for us to taste, and then pair with some beers. So we'll have a fight board. Super fun. We've done it before. It's always a great time. So super excited.
And if someone wants to keep tabs of what's going on with 580 and when you're doing your releases and when you're having your Thirsty Skull and all that,
So
how can they figure you out?
So Facebook, always the best way for live information. We have a website and everything. We also use Untapped, which gives us a live tap list as well as events. Thirsty Skull is a little bit more spontaneous, but you can also see stuff on Facebook, Twitter, all that kind of good stuff. Yeah.
And Kirby, how can people find out what you're doing, where you are, how to get your beautiful, wonderful desserts?
Following me on Instagram at Cumulonimbus Chocolates. And that's Cumulonimbus like the thundercloud?
Yes.
Yes.
Thunder Chocolates.
Yes.
Yes, I love that. Well, guys, I'm so glad you came, and I'm going to drink whatever the rest of the beer is left and eat the chocolates.
All right.
And thank you for being a part of the local positive things that are happening here in Chatham. We have Kirby, we have Brandon, and we have enjoyed their offerings. And so right now, and I get chocolates.
We have one more chocolate.
And so right now, we also have a local artist who's a musician. He describes himself as a mild-mannered librarian by day, but at night he is a musician. He's won many awards, and if you ever go to the library, there's a guy named Wes there, and Wes Collins is a phenomenal musician. So he sent me his album, and he said, Aaron, I'd be very happy if you would play it. So yeah, his album's called Welcome to the Ether, and ladies and gentlemen, won't you please enjoy our friend,
Take her right there at the SO with that old Purina silo, straight on through to where the pavement got redone. It's an hour and some change to where you're going, but you can bank a little time if you get off the 301. It's pretty thin for half an hour left to you clear the interference, you got a solid out of company. Unless you pull the parking brake, stay a while instead. Welcome to the ether, we've been waiting for you, darling. Welcome to the ether, some things never change. Put your attention between the ditches and your hands on 10 and 2, because your ears are eyes until you're out of range. Welcome to the ether. Your apartment's closing in on you, and you can't find a spot that's far enough away from any of the walls. But your edges start to melt when you step out into the rain. Looks like you might be made of sugar after all. Jam your hands into your pockets, hike your shoulders, bow your head. At least you're dry between your collar and your chin. Pick up half along the road and marching faster than the traffic till somebody rolls their window down. Here we are again. Welcome to the ether, we got towers everywhere. Welcome to the ether, that's all we ever say. Any trip can be a dance if you know how to stick the landing. And we can get you there a couple times a day. Nobody blames you for climbing up into your head when reception gets spotty. Nothing you buy or consume or collect gets you comfortable in your body. So welcome to the ether, rooted to the driveway. Welcome to the ether, all to see your face. It can take you off the board if you hang out up here too long. So we know sometimes you have to go away. We don't like it either. Welcome to the ether. Wave you on in, you don't have to knock anymore. Offer me half of your coffee like you're gonna need it to get in the door. My place is a spot to get out of the weather. You duck in sometimes when it rains. You could beat a path home, but your mail it gets soggy that way. You leave your boots on, I don't care what you're tracking in. I brew up my own, 'cause I'm not big on nutmeg and cinnamon. Yeah, you don't have to look up from your phone. I like how it lights up your face. Yeah, that came out kinda creepy. I hope you don't take it that way. And I can be super poetic and stuff, but I'll shut up before that kicks in. Much better bet would be to see if I could get you to put a latte through your nose again. And as far as being graceful and poised, I've been compared to a pelican. So I got no method or strategy to get you to toe off those galoshes and stay. It looks like my big play is to just say it. I like you that way. Junkie on the corner makes it official now. It's getting kinda rough, but you'd be amazed what you can live with if you live with it often enough. Sit across my kitchen table, feel it hanging in the air. You can't believe you even have to ask me why I hadn't moved anywhere but here. I run some fingers through my hair, look out the window at what ain't there, and I just love the cuckoo's calling. I never ask it why it does. Well, I'm living what I mean, but I don't have any words to sing. We've been over it for hours, and all I got so far is because. My brother showed me how to play this lick. Been 15 years, still can't play it half as well. Next time I see him, I'd get him to show me one more time. But I kinda doubt he's got a guitar in his cell. But I don't mark it by the hour, I get my comfort when it comes. When all you want's a shower and you don't know if it's coming. When you finally make it underneath that water, it'll hit you like a drug. We can stand and kill ourselves. We can talk about something else. You don't come right out and say I'm crazy, but I can hear it in your voice. It ain't got nothing to do with pride.
Are you okay?
I'm just taking
Are you
up my
okay with
side.
where you see yourself on the screen
You
right
have to
now?
stick or walk away.
Well, the battery's changed, so the mic's
So
still
I'm
the
back,
same.
and we're back live here on Talk with TaJ, and I have my longtime friend from back in the day of the Peace Building Institute at Eastern Mennonite University. Did I get that right? Ladies and gentlemen, won't you welcome Mr. William Bill Goldberg. Bill, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, it's the
Bill,
summer
can you
peace
hear me?
building.
I can't hear you.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Headphones for the board. Here's the other. Here. Just plug that in the laptop. And unmute the laptop when you're done.
All right, Bill, let's see here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
It's still muted. Now you should be able to hear.
All right, Bill, I still can't hear you. Let's see here. All right, you can hear me. Oh, now I can hear you. Now I can hear you. There we go. to turn you down a bit. All right, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, great. Hey, so ladies and gentlemen, why don't you welcome Bill Goldberg. At least I can hear myself saying that now to you. Bill, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you doing, Aaron?
I'm well. I'm trying not to hide too much behind this microphone. Nice to see you, man. Long time no see.
No kidding. It's been way long.
So, number one, tell us who you are, tell us where you're from, and tell us about Eastern Mennonite University and the Peace Building Institute.
All right. Well, I'm Bill Goldberg. I am Baltimore born and raised, and I know Aaron from way back in high school.
Ooh, and junior high school.
And junior high school, long
I
time.
know, man.
I have been living in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and working at Eastern Mennonite University for 20 years or so.
I went to Bridgewater College and James Madison University, so there you go. There's my connection to your area.
That's right, and that kind of still blows my mind that you went. I taught there a decade ago, and my wife's teaching there now as an adjunct. So it's just weird, some of these connections.
It's kind of like Randallstown High School. When I went there, it had a farm across the street from it. I don't know if it still has that farm.
Yeah, I remember that.
So anyway, I'm sorry. Go
Actually,
ahead.
my uncle had a horse at that farm, so that's the weird thing. It gets weirder and weirder.
That's right. So tell us about it.
All right, I've been here for 20 years. The Center for Justice and Peace Building is kind of an umbrella for a master's degree in conflict transformation, which is kind of like conflict resolution for most folks. Also a master's degree in restorative justice. And the program I run, the Summer Peace Building Institute, does short-term trainings in May and June each year on a variety of topics, everything from analyzing conflict to leadership. We have a program on trauma awareness. We do work on violent extremism, getting people to understand how to deal with violent extremism. Restorative justice, which is another big angle for us, which is it's basically like a system of justice that acknowledges that something needs to be done, not just punishment of offenders of crime. Something's happened to a victim, and then the victim needs to get their life back together. They need to get their relationship with the community back. They need to get their, you just need to move forward. And so restorative justice is kind of a system that you can use to get victims and offenders talking, to get past that, to help communities after there have been crimes or violence or problems with school renamings or monument removals, things like that.
There was a movie that I went to go see called, I think it was called Frenemies, and it took place here in Durham, North Carolina back in the 70s. And basically, segregation, desegregation, blacks and whites going to school together, and there was an issue behind that. But they sat down and they did a thing called a charrette, where they brought people on different sides and said, hey, we're going to have a conversation, and it's going to be 5 people on one side of the issue, 5 on the other. And they spent like 2 weeks actually unlayering and being very specific, and they made some breakthrough. And as a matter of fact, the 2 people who were opposing one another turned out to be great friends and advocates for one another and causes. So it sounds like that's what you guys do, is try and get away from, and I use this term often, the diatribe, and help people on opposing sides have a meaningful dialogue. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's pretty much what we do. Our goal is basically to acknowledge that violence occurs and to help people recover from that violence, from that crime. What you were just talking about, we have a course that's on circle processes, which is similar to what you were saying. A lot of times it's used instead of a court system where you'll have the victim and the offender both in the same room, along with their support, whether it's family or friends or religious, pastors or something, and then all the people in the room get to talk about how what happened affected them. And it's an amazing system. It can last for hours, where people just like unload, like, this is what happened to me after this crime occurred, this is how I felt, and this is how I've dealt with it. And then like a lot of the times you get the offender like not realizing what happened. Not realizing the extent. Like one of the examples I like to talk about is, let's say a bunch of kids having fun go down the street and just start breaking store windows. You take them to court, they might go to jail, they might get a fine. That still doesn't fix the windows. What a circle process and what restorative justice would do is it would get those kids helping fix the windows for the shop owners and maybe work for them a little bit, as a way to pay that back. And you have a lot of these kids who go through this process, and they would say that it's easier just to pay the fine. Like, having to talk to the person that they hurt is, much tougher than just paying some court.
Sure.
But it really helps communities, like, after things like that, get back together and, like, get on with their lives.
So to that point, I sent you a couple of articles and I talked to you a week or so ago and telling you some things that are happening here in our town in Pittsburgh, North Carolina, about how our commissioners had voted to take down a Confederate statue, and then from that has been quite a bit of polarization and just opposing sides, and even to the point, Bill, to where it has broken out in violence, where there's been a couple of fights and whatnot. And so it was to that degree, when it started getting there, I said, you know what, there's got to be some greater ways of thinking. Not that everyone has to agree all the time, but the way that we communicate with one another, even in our disagreement, has to be in a forward-moving way. So to that, and to what I've sent you, what is a direction that you would see to be able to help create a more positive environment in towns like this? And this is happening all over America, where there's opposing views on things such as Confederate statues and flags and whatnot. What would be an approach that you would see could work for a small town?
Yeah, so actually, I know some issues just around here in Stanton, about 30 minutes south,
Sure.
Around renaming the high school. I can't remember what it was. It was like Jeb Stewart or Robert E. Lee or whatever. The town finally got to the point where this needs to change, and the process they went through was 6 months to a year of getting input, and both sides had huge problems with it. Like, people wanted to change because it's reflecting a Confederate general, and then the other side is saying, like, I grew up in this town and I went to whatever the school's name is, and I don't see a need to change it. Eventually the school board actually just made the decision to change it, which kind of sounds like what's happening where you are, that the county or the city's just saying, we're going to remove it, and now the problem begins.
Sure.
Getting everybody together, and like major stakeholders, to talk about what it means to them is a really impressive thing to do. And it could get loud and it could get angry. The whole goal with the right facilitator would be that person would help keep that from happening. And like the main goal of the facilitator in an experience like that is really to mirror back what you're saying. You would tell me why you want the monument removed, and a lot of times the people on the other side can't hear you because they're figuring out what they want to say. So they're not even listening to you, and by the time they speak, you're not listening to them because
Exactly.
you really hear you. What the facilitator would do is the facilitator would basically parrot back and paraphrase what you said so that you feel heard. And at the same time, the other people are hearing it from someone who's neutral to the situation, who's not on one side or the other. And it really helps people move forward in this conversation. Still may not, figure out a perfect solution, never will, because you got like very polarized sides in this. But it helps people get to listen to each other, helps each other, and a lot of times it diffuses some of that tension.
And so even to that point, as I said to you last time we talked, and I sent to you an email, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer, but it's just the way that I look at things. And, I said before, if someone wanted to, and knowing that, the German and the Jewish, the Holocaust and all that happened in another area, still yet the whole world felt the effect of that. So to that point, I said, if someone was to come and say, hey, we'd like to erect a couple of statues, SS soldier statues, and to have some Nazi flags, would that be allowed? Would everyone be comfortable with that? And if they said, hey, we don't want to talk, we don't extol the values of the murdering and the hate, but we want to talk about what Hitler did for German pride, would that be okay? And of course, the answer would be no, that's not okay. So the point is, symbols that represent the same to black people, why is that so easily flown in our faces daily? Now, I can usually answer my own questions, and I can answer this just fine, but seriously, what is the difference there? Because if someone was like, hey man, we want to put up some Nazi statues and fly some swastikas, Jewish folks would be like, there is no way that's happening. Why? What's the difference there? Just your opinion. There is no right or wrong answer.
It's not even just Jewish folks. I think like Jewish, Christian,
Sure.
even Muslim, everybody would be against that. I think like the biggest issue there is the time frame. Like the stuff with Hitler and Nazis happened so quickly, and then the entire world bands together and gets rid of it and makes it impossible, for people to just have a Nazi flag or a Nazi symbol without being obviously, anti-Jewish.
Sure.
But with the whole African American experience, it built up for so many hundreds of years that slavery wasn't an issue, like until it became an issue. It was hundreds of years before that happened, and then the progress to break down all those systems has been so ridiculously slow that people feel that they don't notice it as much as they would notice a Nazi flag, even though like the death toll to African Americans over hundreds of years was so much higher than it would have been to Jews in World War II.
So are you saying that because it's been embedded imagery and symbolism that people have just always been tolerable of it? But I would say to this bill, in Germany, it is completely against the law to have any Nazi symbolism whatsoever.
Right.
So do you know what symbol they use if they want to say, hey, this is what we represent? They use a Confederate flag. And so I'm like, so even to that point, it's like, well, the Confederate flag has always had a certain meaning to it. But if we look at the original symbol of the swastika, that's a Kushite Kemetic symbol that had nothing to do with what Hitler then took it, and within 80 years, 70, 80 years, made it something completely terrible. That had nothing to do with its original meaning. So even in that, it's like, well, a symbol that's always represented something that's been atrocities to black people, that gets to be out there, but something that didn't originally have that meaning, but someone took it and gave it a terrible meaning, that still, it makes me think a whole lot. I'll just put it like that. It makes me think about that a lot.
I totally hear you, and I agree with you. I just think I think you're right. Unfortunately, racism is just embedded in this country, and we've seen more and more that, like, even where we thought we were getting maybe a little further down the road and a little further away from that, now we've just gone totally backwards in all of it. It's okay to be racist in some areas of this country, and that's horrendous. I just don't even know how to deal with that sometimes.
And if you would have, I sent this to you in an email. If you would have asked me, when we were 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, it's like, there's something happening here. You have to say it loud. I'm black and proud. What's going? There was all this music and movement to where we seem to be naturally growing in a progressive, not a political term, but in a way of growth, in a progressive way. So if we would have projected by the time we're, well, I hate to say it, by the time we're 50, like we are now, I would have thought that we would have all had some sort of space shuttle. Remember, like in 3rd grade in the Weekly Reader, we were all supposed to be like having space shuttles flying back and forth. I thought we'd be doing that, not looking backwards and talking about stuff that I guess only had the illusion of being fixed, but really wasn't fixed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't even think the illusion was that strong. I think honestly, the election of Barack Obama blew that illusion out of the water. Just all of the stuff he dealt with, just that whole birtherism thing, from a start, his election caused so much fear from people that they just started showing sides of themselves that you would have never expected to see them show privately, much less publicly. And that's just gotten worse under this president, and it's just getting worse on a daily basis. Look at what happened in Charlottesville like 2 years ago. That was over a Confederate memorial as well, but it turned into a neo-Nazi parade with them screaming, "Jews aren't going to take our job." Now, there's no real connection between the Confederacy and the Nazis except what white supremacists and white nationalists are doing and just using it as a fear-mongering technique.
And Bill, I have to say this because, here on TaJ Talk and Talk with TaJ, we like to discuss, we like to define, and we like to deliver. So I have to say this for sake of being a grown-up. I don't care who is in office. Grown-up adults should be able to have enough compassion, humanity, and common sense to be like, you know what? This is who I am. I don't care who's in office, who's the preacher, teacher, whomever. There's a core of me that represents this. So although I do know that when Barack Obama was in office, a certain sentiment came about. Now Trump is in office, a certain sentiment has come about. But you know what, man? We are the highly evolved creature. 5th digit, fully evolved, creating. We walk upright. We can do better than, well, if the person in the office is making me act like this, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I know what you mean when you say that, but I can't just lay that. That's an easy lay to say it's because of that cat that people are acting like that. That's either who you are in your soul and it just took enough to stir it up. But as adults, as grown people, we should be able to find our compassion for humanity regardless of who is in office. You know what I mean?
I agree with you, and I'm not saying because he's in office it's causing more people to be racist. I'm saying because he's in office, it's allowing more people who always were
Sure.
racist. It's okay to say that now.
Got it.
And yeah, so I hear what you're saying, and I think unfortunately there's too few people with those convictions that are willing to stand up and say, like, people are people, and this is ridiculous. You can't be doing this to other people.
So, again, we like to discuss, define, deliver. So I like solutions. I like moving forward. Anyone can keep looking backward. So what is a work in progress working solution? Knowing that everything can't be done today, but what is the direction, the intent that we should be moving towards?
Well, I'm all for removing Confederate statues. I am all for renaming high schools that have names like Robert E. Lee and Jefferson Davis and all that. I think we need to move forward with that. I actually think it takes bold city councils to say we're doing this, even above the protest, and then just do it and deal with the fallout from people, because it seems like, I mean, in Virginia and Stanton, what happened was they finally agreed to change the name to Stanton High School, which is what it used to be in the 60s. Now, that's the other thing, is like this high school wasn't always named after a Confederate hero. It used to be just Stanton High School, and it was when civil rights got to be a big issue. And as you know,
so it's to reinforce Jim Crow and all that stuff, yeah. So,
yeah.
So then what I will say is, and ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Mr. William Goldberg of the Peace Building Institute in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and also Eastern Mennonite University. Am I putting this all together right? It used to be Eastern Mennonite College, but
pretty close.
But there's an affiliation between the college and the university and the Peace Building Institute.
The Center for Justice and Peace Building.
Center for Justice and Peace Building.
A member of is a part of the university, and the Summer Peace Building Institute that I run is under that. So yeah, Summer Institute at Eastern Mennonite University works fine.
All right, and so tell us one last time what's coming up this summer at the Peace Building, Center for Justice Peace Building Institute. What can people expect? How can people get in touch with you if they want to be a part of the Center for Justice Peace Building Institute?
Well, like I said, we do three. This year we're doing 3 sessions of classes. Each session has 4 to 5 options of different classes. We're still working on the schedule, but there's going to be classes on restorative justice, on systemic racism, on leadership, on trauma and trauma awareness, violent extremism, new one that's related to violent extremism and humane social media, with understanding that a lot of the problems that we have with violent extremism, with racism, come from people being able to use social media almost blindly to just put out whatever they want.
Sure.
Classes, and they can look up Summer Peace Building Institute online. They can get you, they can talk to you. They can, I can send you a link that you can put on your site.
Send me a link and I'll attach it to this video once we edit it, and we'll also put it on the site, though.
Sure.
All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, my friend, and I was at Bill Goldberg's bar mitzvah. I think he posted a picture of that back in the day. So, yes, I've known him since Old Court Junior High School, Randallstown High School, and I'm glad to call him my friend. Bill, I appreciate you very much. Thanks for stopping by. You here?
Thanks for having me, Aaron.
All right, man. Enjoy the day. So that is our friend Bill Goldberg, and he is of the Center for Justice Peace Building Institute. And we have had a great time having him here. And I'm going to play a little music, and we'll come back. We're going to talk about the water here in Pittsburgh. And I'm to have a guest from the Haw River Assembly. And if she can't make it, I'll do all the talking myself. So you guys will have to keep listening to me. So here is a little something again from local artist Wes Collins off of his Back from the Ether CD. And this is called Orange and Magenta.
Jenna paddles out beyond the breakers to the swell. stories you need binoculars to tell. I've been here on this rock for 15 days to true my compass and forget you. And every morning I come out and grab a little time with orange and magenta. I can see my options iris down and fade away the more I walk this world. I guess I threw away my shot to hang my toes or run my fingers down the inside of a curl. Hunker down a minute and take the time you need to sketch out your adventure. But read the tide or it can pull you down for good. You just ask orange and magenta. It can cost a lot of sleep to try and figure where the day went every night. If you allow for all the time you put in worrying, it balances alright. Plot your moves to minimize the danger and avoid another lecture. While you're staring at your shoes, the day will bleed from blue to orange and magenta. Orange and magenta.
Whoa. L-O-L-O-L-O-L-O-V-E-E, yo. I sing a song about God's loving and spread it to corners of all the universe. See, all in love. All in love. All in love. All in love. See, TaJ loving, it shot me like an arrow. Got love pouring out from my heart and I want to give you part. So I just keep reaching for all that's positive. Gotta reach for the positive. Wanna feel this love, all in love now. In love, we're all in love. There's so much love still inside of you. We're all in love, yeah. In love, all in love, yeah. It's just so simple now, and it's just more clear. Your messenger finally getting through your ears. And after all these long, hard years, with all these tragedies, this fear, but yet your loving still remains right here. We're all in love, yeah. In love, we're all in love. There's so much love still inside of you. We're all in love now. All in love. We're all in love. There's something that's true still inside of you. I know you can't see, but it's there indeed. So way down inside, don't you let love hide. Just let your love go, and it grows and grows. Yeah. It shot me like an arrow. Your love pouring out from my heart, and I want to give you heart. So I just keep reaching for all that's positive. Gotta reach for the positive. If you're gonna feel this all in love, if you're gonna feel this loving all in love, if you're gonna feel your love is real. All inside, God's loving, yeah. See, all in, all in, all in, all in, love, all in. See, all in, all in, all in, all in, love, all in. All in, we're all in, we're all in, we're all inside God's love. We're all in, we're all in, we're all in, we're all in, all inside God's love. All in love, yeah.
Testing, 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 testing. So that was the Sunsetters and All in Love, and we are back. Talk with TaJ, Focus on Chatham. Today's been a all focus on Chatham day, and we are here live at the Alpha Center, Chatham, Circle City Recording, and the headquarters of the Chatham County Line. And we are here, and we're going to talk about an article and a topic that Chatham County Line covered recently, and that has to do with the drinking water here in Chatham County. So Pittsburgh studies water quality of Haw River. So this has been happening for a while, and I was to have a guest from the Haw River Assembly, but she's traveling and not able to make it. So I'm just going to give some information about this, because don't forget, we discuss, we define, and we deliver. So we want to discuss what the issue is. We want to define how it happened, and then we want to discuss what some deliverables are. The town of Pittsburgh is the only municipality in the Haw River watershed that takes its source drinking water from the Haw River. In 1985, the Haw River Assembly found that Pittsburgh was contaminated by industrial pollutants from cities upriver, including Greensboro, Reedsville, and Burlington. Most industrial wastewater is treated in municipal wastewater treatment plants, and regulations do not require monitoring of these chemicals. These pollutants enter the river through treated effluent through treatment plants. Regulations do not require, okay. They come through treated effluent from municipal wastewater. Well, that's a new word I've learned today, effluent. If you guys can email or text me the definition of effluent, I'll reach into my prize bag and see what you win. So, effluent from municipal wastewater treatment plants which are unable to remove the chemicals or unaware of their presence. So this is from the Haw River Academy, and they updated Pittsburgh official over the years, continuing problem. And in 2007, the town of Pittsburgh was given notice of high levels of unregulated contaminants in the Haw River after a report was published in a scientific journal about a family of chemicals called PFAS. That's a little acronym, PFAS. Since the article was published, Haw River Assembly has been working with certified laboratories and a team of scientists in area universities and research facilities to investigate the levels of these contaminants throughout the watershed. We have found that although some of these industrial contaminants are present in treated water, wastewater, others have found that although some of these industrial contaminants are present in treated, others are contained in the wastewater sludge that is applied to fields and often runs into streams during storms. So let me say that again. They have found that although some of these industrial contaminants are present in treated wastewater, others are contained in wastewater sludge that is applied to fields and often runs off into the streams during storms. So that was the conversation I'd been having with the folks there, is that it's really the sludge that is the issue. And so I just used a term called PFAS, P-F-A-S. And, all right, work with me, folks. I'm going to do this as best I can. PFAS stands for perfluoroalkyl substances. I'll have to, if you can say that word and define that, I'll give you 2 prizes out of the bags. And these are a class of unregulated contaminants that are not easily removed in traditional drinking water treatment processes and have serious long-term health effects. So PFAS is the category, and from what I learned, Gen X is found in, is a subset of the PFAS, and this is a chemical that is used in Teflon. There's another industrial solvent, it's 1,4-dioxane. It's also contaminating the Haw River at high levels and has been found in Pittsburgh's drinking water. This chemical is used in a large number of industrial applications and is also considered a carcinogen and health risk when present above safe levels in drinking water supplies. So the other part that I will say to this is that, we were just talking about with my friend Bill Goldberg from the Center for Justice Peace Building Institute. We were talking about symbols, statues, all these polarizing issues that seem to be happening. Well, water is something that can bring us all together because we are all made of water. So this should be something that we can all, regardless of if everyone gets along on every single thing, we can find a common ground to be able to work in fixing our water. Everyone always says, what about the kids? What about the kids? What about the kids? Well, what about the kids? The kids got to drink the water, bathe in the water and all that. So if we want to leave anything for generations, well, clean water would probably be a really good one. I'm always writing these little short movies, films in my head. And so in one of them, some person from like the 1600s steps into 2019. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And we're walking by a little river, fresh running river, and they bend down, and I know you're not supposed to drink surface water, but stay with me here, it's a movie. They bend down, and they go to take a drink of water out, and I slap the cup out of their hand, and I say, don't drink that. And they say, why not? I say, because the water's contaminated. And then they turn and look with a tear in their eye, and they say, what have you done? So, and then it ends. So that's in my movie scene. But, of course, we can take care of our water a lot better. So what can we do? The problem of unregulated chemicals is widespread and ignores the possibility that these compounds may be responsible for harmful impacts to human health and the environment. We need much broader discharge control of these factories and advanced techniques for contaminant monitoring. So from what I'm told, it's very super expensive to put in a reverse osmosis super clean water thingy or what have you that's going to take care of our water. And then even reverse osmosis doesn't always take out all of the bad chemicals in the water. So not being a scientist and not even playing one on TV, but simply just thinking about things, I was looking at the benefits of the hemp plant for agriculture and knowing that hemp, when planted, not only takes away bad stuff in the soil, it brings good things to the soil. So in reading this article, they're talking about that there is sludge, and I'm giving this idea away for the health of the planet and our local environment. So if someone puts this idea out there, I'm letting you have this one because this is what about the kids? This is for the water. So if hemp can do all this for the soil, and they're mentioning that it's a sludge, well, couldn't we just fill up the edges of every water tributary that we drink out of with nothing but hemp plants? And we could put let's say, a football field size float with nothing but hemp plants with the root system touching in the water, and we move that along the water tributaries. I said this to the lady from the Haw River Assembly, and she said, well, you know, it'd be very tough in a river. I get that. I just come up with the ideas. I need someone else to be the engineer behind it. But again, using hemp not only as fuel, not only as fiber, not only to stimulate our economy, but is hemp a possible remedy for our issue with the water? Well, I don't know, but I can think about it, and we can put some things in action, and doing something is a whole lot better than doing nothing. And to that, there is a meeting here in Chatham County, and I know I wrote this down, October 16th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., the Chatham County Agriculture and Conference Center, How Safe is Pittsboro's Water? A public forum. And that's at 1192 US 64 Business, Pittsboro, North Carolina. So on October 16th, here in Pittsboro at the Ag Center, and I think I talked to Elaine Chioso about live streaming that. So if you can't make it, hopefully TaJtalk.com in conjunction with Chatham County Line will be out there, and we'll be providing live stream coverage. And set up correctly, you can also communicate from wherever you are. We'll have our YouTube channel up, so if you have some comments or if there's time for an open forum and you can't make it but you want your voice to be heard, we'll be on the wheels of steel and monitoring the computer and the YouTube. And if you have a question, we'll try and get it to those folks who are presenting this conference. But this is, again, something that we should all be talking about. And I have all this data here. I don't want to bog you guys down with data. I'll wait till I have the experts on here. And then hopefully we can also get some of our city folks in here and talk in a very collaborative way as to what we can do to make this happen. So yeah, that's happening here in Chatham County. And we also have elections coming up. So for next Tuesday, Focus on Chatham, I am hoping that I can have as many people running for office in Chatham County come through here and talk about why we should vote for them. We do have quite the race happening, and we'd like to be able to hear from as many of our folks as possible. I'm going to reach out to Jackie Adams and Albert Reddick. They're running for mayor against the incumbent Mayor Grimes. I don't know if he would be able to make it, but I do know that both Jackie and Reverend Reddick said that they would be into, I don't want to call it a debate, but let's talk, having a conversation of the mayoral candidate. So I'm going to reach out to them, see if we can get them in here, and see if we can get some of our local people running for commissioner as well. And yeah, we're going to make that rock. And I'm sorry I did not have my guest today, but I'm very happy that I had the folks from 580 and Thirsty Skull and the nice young lady Kirby from Cumulonimbus Chocolates, and she left me some chocolates right here. You guys see those? She said, do you want me to leave you some chocolates for your kids? Like they're actually going to get them, right? No, I'm kidding. They will get them. And having our local people coming in, it shows you what Pittsboro's all about. Local chocolate, local beer. I've been playing music by Wes Collins, who is a local musician who's won quite a few accolades for his music. And I'm going to close it out with another song by Wes Collins, and I'll close it out by a song. And hold on. Oh, great. And Randy's going to talk water next week or this week? I'll do it right now with you. You want to talk now about water? Sure. Well, come on, man. Talk water. Here, I'll sit you right here.
Let's come on in. Let's talk water. Mic? Yeah.
You can give him this mic right here?
Yep.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, won't you welcome to the Chatham County Line TaJ Talk, Focus on Chatham. And we look like a news session. Look at all this paper. This means we're talking about stuff.
We got a lot of paper here, Aaron.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Randy Voller. He's the editor and chief of the Chatham County Line and former mayor of Pittsboro. So, yeah, let's talk about some water. You were sitting there listening to what I was saying. What can you add to that, Randy?
Well, no water, no town. So, I mean, having access to good, clean drinking water is a cornerstone to having livable communities, as you were opining. And the issues with our water and water quality in Pittsboro have been ongoing for many years. They didn't just begin with the PFAS, and given the complications of point source and non-point source discharge in the river basin, it probably won't end with PFAS.
So, what are workable solutions? We talked earlier is that we just don't want to keep rehashing what the problems are, and be in that circular conversation. What are solutions, man?
Okay, so during my initial time as mayor, I met with some of the leaders in Orange County, and we're working with OWASA to get an agreement to get access to the western intake in Jordan Lake. And that's grown into what's now the Jordan Lake Partnership, which has the city of Durham and Raleigh and Cary and Morrisville and Chatham County and Sanford, all kinds of people. Apex signed on to it. Long term, there's going to be a very large regional water treatment plant built on the western intake of Jordan Lake. That will probably be a reverse osmosis plant. However, that is far out in the future. I mean, I had hoped when we began that conversation in 2006 that it would have been built by now, but in government world, sometimes things take decades to get done. So the more immediate concern is what can be done to address our water now, besides building a brand new reverse osmosis treatment plant, which will address the situation, but it does have some other issues when you do RO. I think that you could, in theory, connect to Sanford or Chatham County, which they both have some issues with these unregulated chemicals, but their water sources are coming from a reservoir or from Jordan Lake. And I think in the short term, that would be better than for us dealing with discharges that change on a minute-to-minute basis coming down the Haw River.
So for people who say, well, what are the long, medium, or short-term health concerns?
Well, those are excellent questions. I mean, we've been, we were dealing with other issues that were in the water years ago, and one of the solutions was to do more carbon treatment, was to upgrade what we were doing at the plant. I think from the problems that we first became aware of in 2007, Pittsboro has taken great pains to produce really good quality drinking water. Now we have an input, the PFAS, that are unregulated and coming down the river that is a different problem to solve. But at the time when we were getting the input to your question back then, I remember one of the questions, well, what is the real risk factor? And we had various professors coming in, one from Virginia Tech who is quite bright and well known in the industry. And if you looked at the data, you would have to drink 2 liters of water every day for 70 straight years to actually see an effect that could be carcinogenic. Now, I'm not saying that that's the same with PFAS, but I'm saying that sometimes, when you gin up fear, people's reactions may not be commensurate with what the level of risk is. I mean, obviously, we want to have good quality, clean drinking water. And the issue is coming from upstream discharges. And we need to have partnerships with people upstream so that they can understand that contributing to the watershed by discharging this is bad for business for them and bad for business for us, bad for our people. But I would also warn people to not just react so quickly and be ruled by fear. I mean, there are some short-term solutions, as I said, that have other benefits. Connecting to Sanford, for instance, or Chatham and Sanford may actually lower our risk with PFAS in the short term and allow us to get to a point where we would build a reverse osmosis treatment plant.
So with the October 16th public forum, what are we anticipating for that? Because again, no one likes to go to those things, and it's just I won't use the word I was going to say, but a blank session where nothing gets done, where everyone just talks at one another. So what can we expect? And hopefully we'll be able to live stream this for transparency, which I know that that the people do want, but also again so that we're working towards solutions. I like my idea about planting hemp all around the edges.
Right.
I'm serious, man.
Well, I mean, it's funny because one of our mutual friends, Tim Kime, years ago was very interested in mycology, and he brought up the idea of mushroom bunkers, which mushrooms can pull out all kinds of heavy metals and other pollutants in the water. And I tried when I was mayor to get the engineers working with Pittsburgh many years ago to consider that. And of course, in engineering world, things get settled, and if you look at plans, these are details that have been long settled. I mean, just like we run our sewer fluent downhill, gravity, right? That's been settled since the Romans. They weren't willing to get creative on the solutions. I mean, Hal House, of course, designed some of those same type of ideas of using plants to pull out endocrine disruptors and other things that are in the waste stream. And I believe that the new plant that North State Utilities is building is going to have some elements of that. I think that we need to be willing to do out-of-the-box thinking, as you suggest, planting certain crops, certain species that
like gorilla planting.
Yeah,
right?
that filtrate the water, right?
Yeah,
just like having man-made,
exactly.
You sometimes you get accidental man-made wetlands when we've done development projects, and you build something, and all of a sudden you see these cattails growing up, and I was happy to see them because I thought, well, they're going to filtrate the runoff that's coming off the road.
So we know that a huge reverse osmosis system would cost millions of dollars, correct?
It's going to cost multiple millions of dollars, and you're going to probably need to get bonding capacity in the town to do it.
So that takes a while.
Well, you're going to have a tax base to support it.
Exactly.
Obviously, Chatham County has a AAA rating. Perhaps Pittsburgh could cooperate with Chatham County on such a bond issue. I don't know. That would have to be worked out between the two governments. But yes, you're going to, all of those debt issues are run by the local government commission, and they're going to approve whether you could take on the payments. So we need a growing tax base to pay for it.
While they're waiting to approve that, can we try the plant mushroom idea?
Well, that's a funny.
Like, while we're waiting to do all that and get those tens of millions of dollars together, why don't we do the other part that's cheaper, and we can just start that right away?
Well, I think you could easily do the issues of planting things. I mean, and or ensuring that the buffers that are close up and down the river are not impacted. I mean, that of course is another big topic for debate, and one of the criticisms of development in Chatham Park is impacting the buffers. But yes, you could be doing planning, and we could be connecting to Sanford. And here would be the advantage of, if we're going to dig this sewer line down there, once you're digging the ditch, you may as well use it for other things, because the expense is in digging the ditch. And imagine if we connected reuse water that we're already producing, and if so we could have a reuse network, so people could be watering their plants with reuse water as opposed to using potable water, which is expensive to process. And if we were to connect a potable drinking water line to Sanford, then we get out of the complications of intrabasin transfer rules in the Cape Fear Basin, and we could upsize that sewer line from 2 million gallons to 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, however many you could negotiate with Sanford, and suddenly our issues with sewer in Pittsburgh and our area here would be solved. And we wouldn't have to build a gigantic sewer plant that could cost, $40 to $70 million, depending on size, technology, and the cost to build at the time.
And over what amount of time would that take to build that?
Well, I mean, we already have the plan to build the sewer line is already in the works. Right now, you would hope in the next 2 years that'd be connected. But I mean, I think that there's a water line already to 3M that at one time Sanford supplied through Chatham County. I'd have to verify, but it would seem to me that Pittsburgh and Chatham could connect there. And Pittsburgh and Chatham are already probably connected up by Bynum and in other places. I mean, if we needed to, we could, in theory, get the water from the county and polish it at our water plant and produce a better quality water. I mean, the issue, Aaron, is simply we're getting a water supply out of the Haw River that is changing, the chemistry is changing minute to minute, because we don't know what's being discharged, and the people running our water treatment plant, no matter how good they are at doing it, they're dealing with chemistry that's changing, and if you have PFAS in there, it's going to have an impact.
So then, for an unlearned person like me, if it's entering our water, do we know the entry location?
Well, that's what they're trying to determine. I've heard various assertions and rumors about where it's coming from. One I heard was that a fire department training center up in Alamance, had some type of fire retardant materials that they were using that was, draining off in the river. Again, I don't have any hard evidence in front of me that this is true, but I was told this, so I'm going to modify my statement of saying this is what I was told, but no evidence in front of me. But obviously, something is getting into the river, and it's coming from, certain discharge points north and northwest of Pittsboro up the Haw River Basin.
Well, I'm going to use this terminology because it's kind of like they say, race for the cure for cancer. Race for the cure, race for the cure. And my dad died of cancer, and I had some family members that have cancer, so I don't make light of this. But again, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, and they're way more smarter people, but we've been racing for the cure for a long time. So I said, why don't we race to the cause? They don't have to start racing to the cure anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing with this concept.
It's funny you say that,
Let's
Aaron.
race to the cause of stuff.
There's some literature out now that's saying that there's a huge industry around cancer and people make money on that, but they're not actually getting to the causal factors.
Yeah, go figure.
We're producing things and putting it into our built environment that are cancer causing and or are risk factors for cancer.
I can do a whole show around that. So Randy, now that I have you on here, I'm going to ask you to help me with something. So we got some elections happening here in Chatham County,
yes,
don't we?
We do.
And early voting
Multiple
starts?
elections. Early voting starts Wednesday, October 16th.
All right. So what I would like to see if we can do between now and then, and if we got to do a Tuesday, Thursday show or what have you, but how many candidates you think we can get through here to come here and give us their 3 to 5 minutes why people should vote for them?
And we should be able to try to get them all. Our paper put out a questionnaire that was simple. Chatham Record did a much more involved questionnaire, but ours was just, who are you? Why are you running? What will you do for the people? I think if you can answer those 3 basic questions and people get an understanding of who you are, they can assess whether they want to vote for you. People should tell you what they're going to do when they're elected. That's a key thing. Are they going to fix this water problem? Are they going to vote to actually float bonds to build a reverse osmosis treatment plant? That's clearly something that people should be able to tell you when they're running.
And these are things, you never want people to feel that their voice isn't being heard or that there's any intimidation factor of them being voted. As a matter of fact, a letter was shared with me by someone who they were actually attacked in questions as to whether or not they were allowed to be voting in a certain area. And that was done by someone who's actually running for commissioner. So I think these are things we need to bring to the light when people feel that they're being intimidated to do something which we all should have the right to do, like vote, and they're being intimidated based upon their race. And that's happening by people who are now running for an official seat in the area. We should talk about that.
There should be a dialogue. I think that people should address their past advocacy, and if they've had a change, and there's no shame in learning new information and changing your mind.
Agreed.
You don't need to be dogmatic. Sometimes people change because they got new information and they know more. But certainly, if a candidate had a position at one time that was against immigrants or had a question about immigration, the people should understand: does that candidate still feel that way? And or if they do feel that way, how will they be in office? Because municipalities actually have a connection to this. There's this notion of sanctuary cities, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Our Chatham County commissioners actually put out a resolution in the last couple of months condemning what was happening on our border. Children being locked up in cages, right? So these kind of ideas if a candidate has those ideas, the people should know that. I mean, they should also know, like, is a candidate going to be fiscally conservative, and is that with a capital C or a small c? I mean, nobody wants to waste money, and local government and state government, unlike federal government, has to balance its budget, right? We don't get to print money. But, in that budget process, there are choices that can be made that have a real impact on everyone in the community. For instance, are we going to choose to build basketball courts or recreation places for children, or are we going to choose to build pickleball courts that a lot of older boomers like to play now? I mean, these are real questions.
Here, I have a real answer. The old Piggly Wiggly needs to be part theater, part bowling alley. Can we do that?
Well, that's an idea.
City dollar.
I mean,
get some city dollars.
I'm a strong believer in public-private partnerships, and I think people shouldn't be afraid of that. I mean, that's what local government can do when it's being its best. It can pick up issues and lead and pull along the rest of the community and create these kind of strategic partnerships that ultimately create a community that everyone feels affirmed and enjoys living in.
And so for anyone who's running for office, I will say, my kids are getting older every day, but of course, one of the rubs about living here in Pittsburgh in town is that if you want to do something with your kids, you always got to at least drive 10 miles away to go do something. So it would be great to have, especially when the weather gets colder. There's no a gymboree or no movie theater, bowling alley, or so something where it could be collaborative that continues to drive revenue and keep families here on a cold January day when no one wants to drive to Beaver Creek or to Cary or whatever.
Exactly. I mean, and one of the things is that being sustainable and having a lower carbon footprint also involves not driving your car. Now, of course, as we get more electric vehicles, that's going to address that. But I mean, my wife and I years ago sold all of our vehicles down to, we have one 2004 RAV4 that we've owned since the beginning. RAV4s are great cars, and we've made a go at it, with one vehicle. It's hard to do, and we're in town, and I think that you're getting to the point of it would be good to have these type of infrastructure in town for families and residents to get to, whether they're biking, walking, or a short car trip.
And we see some construction happening between the McDonald's and right here, the Alpha Center. What's that going to look like here over the next few years? We've been seeing a lot of road work happening. Are we going to get some sidewalks coming?
Well, there's certainly some of these candidates coming on here can address it. I know that those that are on the board, Jay Farrell and specifically John Bonnets, did some real good work on changing the plan of widening 15501. A plan that actually, when I was mayor, we got approved, and this is going to have biking lanes, pedestrian access sidewalks all the way from the marketplace here at Chatham Mill straight up to Lowe's and Powell Place. And I think that once that corridor is more pedestrian and bike friendly, it's going to really change what Pittsburgh's like, and you're going to have people moving back and forth. It's only 1.6 miles from one to the other. It's not far.
And okay, here's my other idea for that, like where the Chatham Market is over to the coffee shop.
Yes.
Can we get some walkover bridges, maybe one over by the Piggly Wiggly and the old Pizza Hut, some walkover things so that when, traffic's only getting more and more, we need a couple of those like you see when you're going to Cary.
Like the small ones, that would be something that local officials can take up with the Triangle, what you call TARPO, Triangle Area Rural Planning Organization. I chaired that for 7 years, and they advised DOT, and those are things that your local officials, Chatham County Board of Commissioners and Pittsburgh and Siler City, they approve. And you can make those suggestions. I mean, these are things that where local elected officials can have a real impact longitudinally, like over time.
Well, let's get those things approved. And our goal is for next Tuesday, when we focus on Chatham, our goal is to get as many of the candidates in here, because the date today is the 8th, so that will be the 15th, the day right before early voting starts.
Before early voting.
So let's see if we can get Jackie Adams, Albert Reddick, because that's going to be an interesting race in Siler City. Can you comment on that race in Siler City? And we know Mayor Grimes is the incumbent, but that's going to be a very interesting race because Siler City is poised to do some great things. Can you talk about that?
Well, Siler City is interesting for a lot of reasons. One, if you look at demography, it's a majority-minority town, although not all of the Hispanics that live in Siler City can vote, right? although you look at the numbers, especially the children that have attended Jordan Matthews, these are legal voting citizens. It's a community in change. They've had great success in opening up this new chicken plant, which is working 2 shifts and employing, I believe, up to 1,400 people, and supplying an awful lot of revenue to their enterprise fund in terms of water. I think that what you're seeing now are new people coming in and existing people that have been in Siler City that want to see change. You've got 3 candidates, incumbent John Grimes, who's been on the board for quite some time, and at one time he was a county commissioner. His father-in-law, Obie Budd, was mayor years ago. You've got Jackie Adams, an exciting business person that's very involved with the merchants, owns businesses in town, and you have Albert Riddick, Reverend Albert Riddick, who has long roots in the community, and he works in the school system, and he has also some specific ideas, and of course they're coming from different points of diversity as well. Albert's African American, Jackie is a white woman who's also a member of the LGBTQ community, and then you have John Grimes, who's like me, an aging white male.
Well, that's the whole demographic. So we're hoping to get them in, and we got a bunch of people running for commissioner here in Chatham County.
Well, there's another race in Siler City that's interesting. They have districts where you can only vote in the district. In Pittsboro, it's at large, so everyone on the ballot, people have 3 votes to vote for them. In Siler City, they only have a few at large, and people run in the district. There are 3 people running in that district where Mike Constantino is the incumbent, and that's a race to watch.
So those are 2 very important races there. Can we get any of those folks in?
We can put out an invite from Chatham County Line and TaJ Media to bring them in the studio and let them talk to the voters.
So yeah, if we could we're doing a 2-hour show. They get about 7-8 minutes apiece. And what politician ever stays in 7 to 8 minutes apiece?
Well, if you put a microphone in front of a politician, and I'm still active in politics, you're going to get a lot of opinions. I'm guilty myself.
All right, so we're going to have to come up with some good questions for them. So, that's what we got. That's what we have to look forward to here. Chatham County Line, TaJTalk.com. We focus on Chatham, and this is where you can have a voice that's representing Chatham County like none other, and your voice is always welcome here. If Randy, tell them how to get in touch with Chatham County Line if they want to have a story advertised, talk about what's going on. What's that email address? ChathamCountyLine@gmail.com. They can also text me at 919-949-1274. We've got partnerships. We've been working together with the Chatham Record. We're working with TaJ Media, TaJ Talk. We've got a wonderful sound studio over here that's recording musicians at Circle City Recording that John Delaforce just did a whole bunch of recording working with Shakori Grassroots Festival last week, and you were here filming. And we've got a relationship with R. Chatham, which is young students under the supervision of Professor Eric Firkinoff up at UNC. And they're writing stories on Chatham. So we're all trying to work together local. We need merchants and businesses to advertise with us local so we can get this message out. And they can come on here like we had.
They can come on here.
And Kirby today. Come bring their product. We'll try it. We'll try it on if it's got clothes. If it's a hammer, we'll bang a nail into it. I don't know. But bring the product. Be on air. But
this is all about micro-local. You've got an excellent local businessman working with you on this, Jody from TriTech.
Jody from TriTech Computer, that's right.
Fixes computers. Yeah, he's the man. Here's John back from Circle City Recording. But John, come over here a second. What's your main business? What you actually do to make the money?
Yeah, we're going to let John Delaforce sit right here.
Come on, sit here for a second, John.
Circle City Recording, John Delaforce.
John, you actually design high-end pools, don't you?
Yes, sir. You do.
Yeah, that's actually what pays the freight so that you can come in here and do this amazing work in the studio. Yep. How did you get into that business?
My dad had a pool company growing up, so.
So you just jumped in the deep end?
Yeah, that used to be the name of my studio, actually, the deep end.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell us about the kind of jobs. You're not just building kiddie pools. You've got stuff that you could see on HGTV.
Yep, we did some episodes of Pool Kings.
Really? You were telling me earlier that you do the kind of stuff that, sometimes it's like $1 million installations.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Do you have any in Chatham?
Do not at that level.
No, this is Chatham County, but you do have some. You told me up in the mountains. You said you had some crazy one.
Yeah, I got one up there. We probably have 4 or 5 of that level.
And you also have stuff in Wake County as well.
Lots of it. That's primary businesses in Wake County.
If somebody wanted to contact you about this, if they were interested in, you don't just do the super high end, but you'll do a really nice pull-in design for someone. If they have a lot or a house, how do they get in touch with you, to inquire about whether they could do a pull installation and some of the other designs that you might do?
Search for Blue Haven Raleigh, and my YouTube will be tagged with that as well. So if you search for Blue Haven Raleigh or John Delaforce, you'll be able to see my designs on YouTube. We place them in their videos.
So this weekend you did some recording. This is the other thing we do. You and I both play music. You're a bass player, among other, talents. I'm a percussionist, but who'd you have over here that came in through David Dean from Shikori Grassroots Festival?
Had 4 different artists. Western Centuries came in. And
Westerns, aren't you a fan?
I am, yes I am. Yeah.
So you got to record a group that you're actually a fan of.
Yes, sir.
How many are in that group?
6 people.
So you did a 6-piece right here at the Alpha Center, offices of Chatham County Line, and the wonderful studios of Circle City Recording at Suite 350B.
They were in and out in probably 45 minutes. So
45.
Getting 6 guys set up. They brought in their own gear, some really nice vintage gear. We recorded it, and they were out after a quick interview. And
so David was doing
enjoyable.
podcasts, so you were also mixing that as well.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So the first one was it was Sierra Farrell, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me about that. She seemed like a firecracker.
Oh yeah, that was a great experience. So, and we recorded that in a traditional manner with just one microphone because it's very old-time music. Just her and the fiddle player, and they did a great performance of 3 songs, and it's got a nice old-time radio sound and feel to it. So I'm excited for that to come out. I don't know exactly when those are going to come out yet, but I would hope, sometime over the next few months we're going to see each podcast start to drop as we get them the production done on it, and David
You do the post-production and get it all up to the quality that you demand.
Yeah, and it's going to be the Shikori sessions at Circle City Recording.
Awesome. So who else did you have in here?
Let's see.
You had someone after Sierra on Friday.
Yep, Haley Jane.
Haley, that's
So
right.
She did a great performance. Just her, an awesome interview. Talking about her sobriety, and so there's a lot of positive things, and she's got a really, really big heart and a really big message. So I'm excited for that one to come out too.
And then you had someone else on Saturday.
Yeah, we had Jeb from Dawn of the Buffalo.
Oh,
He
Jeb came
in
from Dawn on the Buffalo.
and sat down and did some a little bit of storytelling on how Shikori got its start and how the Grassroots Festival got its start.
Oh, that's cool. I saw you out there at the festival enjoying it with Aaron, and you guys were collecting information and talking to folks.
Yep.
And, that's another collaboration that we have with Circle City Recording and TaJ Media and Chatham County Line is we're working together with Shikori. We believe in promoting local assets,
Yep.
our local businesses, and showing to the rest of the world who we are here in Chatham County.
And Shikori's got this big, great, positive vibe. So we want that to be part of Pittsboro and get those artists to be coming here when they're coming to Shikori, because there's great artists, there's a great vibe happening there that not everybody in Pittsboro gets to see. And then it would be really great for the local bars and other local town to be able to play with these musicians and venues. So that's
we'll see how this organically grows over time. During the year, and then of course Shikori 2020 in the spring.
Yeah.
I anticipate we'll have even more people. One of the great things about our location is we got plenty of parking.
Yep.
You can bring a tour bus right up here and park because we got plenty of space. This was an old car dealership that's been repurposed. It's called the Alpha Center, and you can come right up here and work with John and record.
Yes, sir. All right, well, I'm getting back to work.
Well, you got to
Let's
get
do
back
that.
to work. We really appreciate you coming
All
on. Circle City Recording, John Delaforce. Thanks for coming on, John.
Hiya.
We're going to turn it back over to the head of TaJ Media, which would be Aaron Hall. Aaron, I appreciate coming on today, and we look forward to pulling something together with Chatham County Line and TaJ Media next Tuesday on the 15th and get some of these candidates here to talk about the upcoming election.
Agreed, and thank you to Randy Voller for his expertise in politics and water, Chatham County Line, all things news, all things Pittsburgh and Chatham County. Yes, we're going to get those candidates here, and it is 12:58. And I need to have some lunch, y'all, but we appreciate you guys tuning in. And we're gonna.
I thought you had that chocolate.
Yeah, I had them chocolates, all right. So yeah, I'm gonna send you out with some music, and this is a song by yours truly. It's called "Today's a Good Day," because regardless of what we talk about, we want everyone to know that it's a good day. So TaJtalk.com, Chatham County Line, Brother John Delaforce with the Circle City recording. We got Jody with TriTech Computers on the Wheels of Steel, and this is how we do hyper local news and information, folks. So yeah, I'm all out of time. We appreciate y'all coming. We'll see y'all next week, all right? Just screw face erase all of your life. Day's a good day to be a good way. Whether the night is so nice, so nice. Let's just screw face erase. Let's go by. Foolish minds are kind to see what's right for you, what's right for me. Foolish minds are kind to see what's right for you, what's right for me. Today's a good day to be a good way. But that night is so nice, so nice. Let's just screw face right. Like the good vibe, the good vibe, the good vibe. Day's a good day to be a good way. We're feeling nice. It's so nice, so nice. Let's just screw face right. This good vibe, this good vibe, good vibe. Come on. Foolish minds are kind to see what's right for you, what's right for me. I hear these million tongues of hypocrisy, all your candy and jealousy. Day's a good day, be a good way. It's so nice, so nice. Let's just screw face right. Yes, this good vibe. This good vibe. Day's a good day to be a good way. And we're feeling nice. It's so nice. Let's just screw face right. Yes, this good vibe. This good vibe. This good vibe. Say nice, so nice, say nice, so nice. This is a good day, yeah. You make a feel a good way, yeah. So nice, so nice. And your face long, or your body race long.